morning. I'm delighted to share with you the financial performance of the Biocon Group for Q4 FY23 and for the full year FY23. Let me start with Q4 FY23, where at a group level, at a consolidated level, we have delivered a very strong performance of 59% growth year on year at through 3,929 crores. This growth has been spurred by a contribution of 114% growth from Biosimilars, 31% growth from research services, and of course, the generics business had a flat performance this quarter. The revenues also includes a benefit of 109 crores from the Bicara stake dilution gain that we had when Bicara raised its Series B, which, as you know, was oversubscribed when they raised the $108 million for clinical advancement. Core EBITDA was very strong. It had a 56% year-on-year growth, and 1,260 crores of core EBITDA was delivered. As you know, core EBITDA is the number that excludes R&D, forex gain, licensing income, and any mark-to-market activity. The percentage of core EBITDA was a healthy 35%, which was an increase over last fiscal's 33%. Now, factoring in R&D spends and the other incomes that were excluded in the core EBITDA numbers, EBITDA then was realized at 1,152 crores, which is 75% growth over last fiscal's 659 crores. The margins at an EBITDA level were at a very healthy 29% compared to 27% last fiscal. And profit before tax was at 500 crores, but this, of course, was impacted by an increase in depreciation, amortization, and interest costs, primarily related to the Viatris acquisition of the biosimilars business within Biocon Biologics. Profit before tax was at 13%, but this is lower than last fiscal, which was at 15%, which did not include a large number of these costs that were attributable to the biosimilars acquisition from Viatris. Net profit before exceptional charge was at 335 crores, but it must be put into context. As you know, Biocon had a stake sale in Syngene, which brought down our overall equity investment or in a stakeholding in Syngene from the original 70% to 55% this fiscal, which is a 15% decline in shareholding, and therefore reflects that decline in 15% of the profit attributable at a group level. Similarly, we have seen a dilution of Biocon's shareholding in Biologics as we went about equity raise to reduce debt in Biocon Biologics. Now coming to the full year financials, again at a group level, we've had a very strong growth of 38% from 8,397 crores last fiscal to 11,550 crores this fiscal. As you remember, we actually had crossed the $1 billion mark last fiscal. And of course, we have now continued to build on that number. Core EBITDA grew 43% to 3,807 crores, which is a 34% margin. EBITDA, as you know, which is after R&D spend, which was a whopping 1,119 crores, which is more than doubled from the 524 crores in R&D spend that we incurred last fiscal. is a major contributor to the EBITDA numbers of 2,888 crores. And R&D spend actually represents 14% of revenues ex Syngene, which is at a very high level. There was also a forex loss of 160 crores versus a forex gain of 58 crores in FY22. But regardless of this, we have seen a 32% EBITDA growth this fiscal with a margin of 25%, which is a tad lower than 26% last fiscal. Profit before tax at a group level for the financial year FY23 was 1,189 crores, a 9% growth over 1,094 crores in FY22. But at a margin level, we are lower than last fiscal, which was at 13% and 10% this fiscal. This is again largely on account of depreciation, amortization, and interest expense that was attributable to the Biosimilars business acquisition from Viatris. Net profit before exceptional charge stood at 787 crores from previous year's 722 crores, which is a 9% increase year on year. Net profit margins were lower at 7% compared to 9% last fiscal. But as you know, this is again factoring in the lower shareholding that we have in Syngene, which has dropped from 70% to 55%, and a lower shareholding in Biocon Biologics as well, which was almost to a slightly higher extent than the Syngene decline, because we had almost a 90+% shareholding last fiscal, which has now dropped to 70% this fiscal in Biocon Biologics. Now coming to exceptional items this year, we've seen a net profit, as I mentioned, of 787 crores. And there were certain exceptional items related to the Viatris transaction, a one-off charge of all the expenses that were incurred for the transaction, and a MAT credit balance charge on the adoption of the new tax regime, where Biocon opted for the 25% flat tax regime. And this exceptional item amounted to 324 crores. Last fiscal, we benefited 74 crores. So overall, the net profit loss this fiscal has come down to 463 crores compared to 648 crores last fiscal. But overall, a very strong performance across the board, both in terms of Q4 and in terms of full year. As you know, the Viatris, the acquisition of the biosimilars business from Viatris has been transformational for us, and these numbers reflect the strong growth for the overall business. Now coming to segmental performance, I would like to start with, as I mentioned, at a quarterly level, we had a flat performance, 717 crores. PBT delivered was 75 crores, and the percentage of PBT was at 10% compared to last fiscal 16%. So there has been a decline in PBT this quarter, largely on account of price erosion and delayed product launches. At a full year level, generics delivered a 13% year-on-year growth from 2,341 crores to 2,637 crores. PBT was roughly flat, a 1% growth over last fiscal, 261 to 264. But as a percentage of revenue, it was a tad lower, 11% last fiscal versus 10% this fiscal. I would like to basically call upon some of the growth drivers for this business. I think immunosuppressants continues to be a very strong contributor to the growth. Also, the generic product launches in the US have continued to grow. We've won many of these contracts in the US. So I think specialty APIs, immunosuppressants, and generic product launches in the US and other markets have contributed to this growth. What is also important to call out for the generics business this quarter was the fact that US FDA inspection in Hyderabad resulted in no 483s, zero observations, a very, very good performance. And we hope that this will translate into ANDA approvals, which are long awaited and will spur further growth in the quarters ahead. Coming to biosimilars, again, a very strong quarter. This was the first quarter that captured the full impact of the biosimilars acquisition from Viatris. Obviously revenues accordingly jumped 114% from 982 crores to 2,102 crores. And this actually sets us up for the $1 billion mark. A $1 billion trajectory is what we exited at this quarter. This is what we guided for, and we have delivered on that guidance. As a percentage of revenue of core EBITDA, that increased 95% from 382 to 742, and it was the percentage of revenue was maintained at 39%, which is a very strong margin. EBITDA, which then of course reflects the R&D spend and other costs like the impact of other expenses like forex costs and others, then brings it down to 573 crores. But nevertheless, it is a 123% year-on-year growth from 257 crores. PBT before exceptions is down to 152 crores, but this does include the impact of amortization, higher tax, and forex impact. And this then has reduced it to 152 crores, a 5% increase over last fiscal. But as a percentage of revenue, it has almost halved from 15% last fiscal to 7% this fiscal on account of many of these costs that are related to the acquisition. Now, coming to full year's performance, I'm really delighted to report that we have grown 61% from 3,464 crores last fiscal to 5,584 crores this fiscal. 1,320 crores was what we delivered at a core EBITDA in FY22. This has jumped 68% to 2,216 crores, which is a 2% improvement in margin from 39% to 41%. I think this is a very, very strong performance for the year. EBITDA, given the fact that our R&D spends have jumped, nevertheless did grow 32% from 1,013 to 1,338 crores, and PBT before exceptions was at 403 crores, but it has declined 26% from last fiscal's 543 crores, which was at a 16% of revenues, whereas this year the 403 crores only represents 7% of revenues. But this is, of course, on impact of one-time costs attributable to the biosimilars acquisition from Viatris. When it comes to regulatory highlights, EMA has cleared all our sites. All our products are approved for the European market. We are awaiting two long pending approvals for Aspart and Bevacizumab for the US market. As you know, we got CRLs for both these BLAs, and the Aspart Kappa plan has been accepted by US FDA for Malaysia. We expect an inspection in early July, after which we hope we will get the necessary regulatory approvals. Similarly, we are in the process of submitting our Kappa plan for the Bangalore CRL for Bevacizumab, and we hope that once the US FDA accepts the plan, we will be inspected and hopefully approved soon thereafter. In terms of novels, we have had a good gain from the Bicara Series B fundraise. It contributed to 109 crores at the revenue level, at the group level. and it continues to make steady progress in terms of its clinical advancement of BCA 101, a very, very exciting asset. As far as itolizumab is concerned, patient enrollment has been ramped up with additional 70 sites being operationalized, and the Equator study is expected to complete sometime next year. And there is also an equalized study for lupus nephritis, which is also progressing well. And as you know, we have also recently started an ulcerative colitis study in India for itolizumab. So all in all, our novels are also progressing well, and we hope they will actually deliver great value to the company. When it comes to research services had a very strong showing this fiscal. At a quarterly level, there was a strong performance of 31% year on year, the strongest performance they've had to date, from 758 crores to 994 crores. PBT was strong at 29% growth year on year from 179 to 231 crores. And as a percentage of revenue, it was at 23%. In terms of the full year financials of the research services business at Syngene, 23% year-on-year growth, which was as per the guidance. In fact, it was slightly ahead of guidance, from 2,604 crores to 3,193 crores. PBT also jumped 15% from 515 crores to 594 crores. As a percentage of revenues, it was at a 19% level from the 20% level that was reported last fiscal. But overall, a very strong performance of research services. And one of the highlights of the research services performance is their entry into biopharmaceutical manufacturing at a CDMO level, where their deal with Viatris has not only contributed to Q4 numbers, but it also has the potential of delivering $500 million over a 10-year contractual cycle. So overall, I think we've had a very good showing at a group level. I think we have to continue to perform well. There are exciting challenges ahead in every one of our segments. I think generics has a huge potential as they pivot to newer opportunities and, of course, new launches. We also see huge opportunities, of course, in our biosimilars business, especially as we transition this business fully from Viatris to Biocon Biologics. We are all eagerly awaiting the adalimumab launch. And of course, we expect to keep focusing on increasing market share in all the markets we serve. As you know, affordable access is what we're talking about, and certainly Biocon Biologics is leading the way, as is generics. The research services continues to do well, and I think all our businesses are poised at an inflection point with all the right catalysts in place. Thank you.